what we're calling the I Love Billund set.
Oh!
And here it is. We built LEGO House to really showcase the endless possibilities of what you can do with the LEGO brick. This to celebrate the creativity of the LEGO brick, and also to celebrate the creativity of LEGO fans. We call it the home of the brick. In fact, it's home to about 25 million bricks, which might even be bigger than some of your collections at home. And it's placed here in the heart of Billund, where it all started, of course, over 90 years ago. But why do we do LEGO House exclusive sets? Oh. Ever since we opened LEGO House, what we've tried to do is create unique experiences here in the house, and as part of that, we wanted to also make a unique retail opportunity. So by physically coming to the LEGO House was your chance to get a unique set that could be only purchased here in LEGO House in Billund. So it's part of the experience of coming to LEGO House, which is why we do these sets. So here's the team behind the set that we have. We're going to be showing you today, and we'll introduce everybody first before we start diving into the set itself. So we'll start with the most important member, which is me, and my favourite subject, which is talking about me. So I've been with the LEGO Group for a little over 22 years, and 12 years has been with the LEGO House itself. I actually started my journey in 1993 when I joined LEGOLAND Windsor as a model builder there, and also running the design team there, and building that first sort of park outside Denmark. And then I moved on to LEGOLAND California as an art director on site with that, and responsible for all sorts of rides, which is the main focus of what I was specializing in, was the rides, which also meant doing a lot of research. So I had to go to every theme park I could and ride every roller coaster I could. It was a dirty job, but somebody had to do it. And then I left when we opened LEGOLAND California. I left for about 9 years. When I'd recovered, I came back to the LEGO Group in 2008 and joined a team developing hands-on experiences. But it's then that I heard about the LEGO House, and this was going to be a one-off, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to join this project. So I joined in 2013 when the house was basically designed, but we didn't know what we were putting inside the house. So I joined a small design team to help shape the experiences in LEGO House, but also with a speciality with my background on the LEGO models that we were going to put in LEGO House. And as part of my role as one of the LEGO House Master Builders, was to develop the concept models, or the sketch models, for all the LEGO House, so most of the LEGO House exclusive sets, and that's what I've been doing. But I only do the sketch model, so I do the easy bit, and then I hand it over to someone else who will fix all my problems and all my illegal builds and everything else that I throw into a set, and those little surprises and challenges I put into there. And so, without further ado, then I would like to introduce Maria.
Hello.
To fix all my problems.
I fix the problems. Yes. My name is Maria. 22 is a magic number. Stuart has been here for 22 years. I joined in 2022. But I landed in Denmark a little bit earlier. I came to Denmark in 2019, where I finished my master's degree in design school Kolding, so not so far away from here. And throughout the years, I worked as a designer, first as a production designer on small movie sets, and then I worked more multidisciplinary as a furniture designer. I designed robots and bikes, and then went into space exploration, and then did lots of design research, worked with artists and scientists, and did lots of different things. But LEGO has been such a big part of my life since my childhood. So since I was in Denmark already, and I found this opportunity to join the LEGO Group as a designer, that was kind of a next dream come true. And so since then, I've been working on different teams like Minecraft, LEGO Sonic, LEGO Speed Champions, and in 2024, I started designing with Marcus for the Insight Tour for 2025. And this is me on my first day of work. You probably also have exactly the same type of photo. it's been really good. Next up, yeah. Stuart again. Otherwise, every single
Please.
time.
Okay.
Hi guys. My name is Signe. I'm one of the corporate historians here. It's always nice to follow Maria and her work on space stations, and then just being a historian. So I've been here for almost 10 years, which makes me the newest employee in the historical department. Still, we are not the historical department for nothing. I have a master's degree in history and culture studies, and when I applied for this job, I had no idea that you could be a corporate historian. So that's kind of cool. For those of you who was also here last year, I also was lucky enough to work on the LEGOLAND set, and so you guys probably know that it's my favorite play theme. But I will say this is not too bad either. So, I was asked when I first landed in Billund, which is actually a long time ago because I'm fairly local. So I probably came here for the first time in 1980 in LEGOLAND with my family. I also brought a photo of myself and my older brother in LEGOLAND here in Billund in the early 80s. My brother, who is kind of a nice guy, he had told me that if I didn't steer the safari car, they would crash. This was what I believed for until I was 12 or something. So I was always super focused, and he apparently had lots of fun. So yeah, but that's me, and I look forward to giving you a bit of a historical background to this. Next up, Didac.
Hello, I'm Didac. Some of you may not know me at all, and some of you may know me a lot, right?
Oh, yes.
I'm the other Master Builder. I come from, Stuart is the Master Builder, I'm the other Master Builder. I'm his Robin. I come from sunny Barcelona, quite unbelievable, but yeah, I come from Barcelona. I had 25 years working as a graphic designer and an art director and illustrator. As you can tell by the picture, I was involved in the for the first time in the exclusive set this year, with the Fabuland set. I joined the Lego house in 2023, almost 2 years ago. I'm quite fresh. And I began with the bricks and fans department. In that department, some of the assignments and some of the big projects that we had was, for example, the Lego Masters Academy, that we are so proud of to get to this point, to this milestone and new experience for the Lego house. And then we became part of the design and experience team. Some of the other stuff that you may know, and if you read the article from Blogs magazine, everything is explained there, all details. It's 8-page article. And I'm talking, for example, about this, the UPO campaign that we did 1 year ago with the children that did some drawing about spaceships. I don't know why, but most of them were food. So it's food and spaceships. Then we built it in bricks, and then we got a drone show in New York City. So that's so cool. So welcome and thank you.
Thank you. So, most of you are familiar with Billund. You've been here a few times. A couple of you haven't. So, of course, there's a lot of Billund and Lego are inextricably linked together. So, when you think of Billund, what's your favorite place in Billund? And remember, I'm going to be taking notes and names. So, where's the favorite place in Billund?
Lego house.
Correct. That is the right answer. Actually, there's a lot of Lego footprints throughout Billund, and so we're going to take a little walk around Billund. It's a virtual walk. Don't worry, Maria has actually done the walk for us, going around the city and seeing all the different Lego locations. So of course we have Lego House, and we have LEGOLAND Billund, and then of course we have Ole Kirk's house. It's currently being refurbished a bit. We're not preparing for a hurricane or a storm or anything, but or any riots. I don't think we get many of those in Billund. And then of course we have the factory. We produce stuff here in Billund, and of course we have the Lego campus. And And also, a few years ago, back in the 60s, we actually started the airport. So Billund Airport was the Lego airport way back in the day, and now, of course, it's a publicly owned airport. But it was started with the Lego group. As we grew internationally, we needed to have the infrastructure to be able to service all our different sales area. So actually, Billund really is a sort of company town. It's really about the hometown of the brick, if you like. So with that in mind, shall we take a look at what the new exclusive set is? Are you ready? Do you want to see it?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, okay, that's a good answer. Okay, so we actually have what we're calling the I Love Billund set.
Oh.
Here it is. So you can take home a slice of Billund when you visit Lego House. So we've basically the magnificent skyline of Billund is captured in this model here, and all the different Lego locations that people will be familiar with. So let's take a look. Let's do a checklist of what we've got in here. So of course we've got Lego House being here right smack in the centre of town. Then of course Legoland, a place which is also very close to my heart because that's where my Lego career started with Legoland. Then we have Ole Kirk's house and the Lego System house there in the bottom right corner there. Then we have the factory, and the more recent building addition to Lego to Billund is of course the Lego campus. And then we also have a little reference to the airport in there, and actually the same color scheme as the first Lego plane that we had back in the 60s.
1962 Piper Astor.
Thank you very much, corporate historian. So there you have actually the I Love Billund set, and with all the sort of the main points of interest of the Lego group here located in Billund. But actually, I think it's probably time for a bit of a history lesson now to understand where did Billund come from all those years ago.
Yes.
So, Signe, take us back in time.
Thank you. Yes. So I was lucky enough to get involved in another one of these special projects, and this time I had to look into the history of Billund, which was kind of a new topic to me. Although I kind of grew up here, I never really, looked into that part. I know a lot about corporate history, but not so much about Billund history. So that was kind of new to me. So what I want to do is to give you a short look into sort of the history of the town itself, and then also look into the presence of the Lego group within Billund, because that's also kind of interesting to see how that's been going on throughout the years. Now, this map here, when I was looking through to see if I could find old maps, I found this one. This is the oldest one I could find, sort of easily find at least. This is from 1780. I know it doesn't look like there's anything there, but there actually is a bit of early Billund here. The earliest mention of a place, because I won't call it a town, but a place called Billund is back from around 1450. So 1450 is the first time a place called Billund was mentioned. And for those of you guys who've been wondering your entire life what Billund means, it refers to a meadow with bees. Yes. So, but this is the earliest mention of this place, which was, I call it a place because most likely it has been like 2 or 3 farms at the time. So town is maybe taking it a bit too far. Now here we moved up in time a bit. This is the early 1800s. You can see again we have Billund. This is the stream. Sorry, shaky hands. Which is also running right outside here of Lego House. And you'll notice there are a few farms here, and these are all on the south of the banks of that stream, whereas today Lego House is around here, Ole Kirk's house is here. So this is early Billund for you guys. I brought along this photo as well. Maria asked if it was me. I am not that old. And also I should remember to say that this is also not a reference to any part of the Lego owner family or anything. The reason why I wanted to share you this photo is because I wanted to explain to you guys a bit about what type of country or land this was. Because Billund in the early 1800s was a very small town, probably 5, 6, 7 farms, something like that. And then the land was very much like this. It was flat, it was barren, there's a lot of sand in the soil, it's difficult to make things grow here, and there would have been, just a flat land, lots of wind coming in from the west. So if you wanted something to grow here, you would have to work really hard for it. It was a humbling experience to be a farmer here. It was not the easiest place to live. And I think this sort of affected the people who lived here and brought some certain characteristics with them. And I think it's, even today, these are characteristics that are often pinned on people from this part of the country still. And of course, this has also affected the country or the company as well, because a lot of these characteristics you will find within the company as well, because you need to be humble and hardworking to make this work. Right, so moving up a time again, now we've reached 1814, where something very big happened, because we got a railway, 1914, sorry, railway station. At this point in time, we also have a dairy, we have a smithy, a school. So the town is growing, but you can still sense that it is a very small town. Not that much is going on here. Then I wanted to show you this, because this is also around 1915, and this is, of course, is when LEGO founder Ole Kirk moved here. And this was how Billund looked. I know you think it's small today, but yeah. This is the main road, Hovedgaden, as it's called. This white house here was the one that Ole Kirk purchased when he came here in 1916. So notice that back then this was the end of town. Town stopped here. And the rest of it, as you can see, fields. Apparently we do have electricity, so not too bad. But just to give you an idea of how things were looking. Now, then I wanted to look into how the company has been present in the town of Billund for those last, 93 years. Because it is tempting to say that Billund is a true company town. And a lot of people will tell you that. And then I looked into what a company town really is. The definition of a company town is something we normally only see mainly see in the US. And it's a town where everything from workplace to housing to services, shopping opportunities, everything will be owned by that one company. Of course, this is not completely true in the term of Billund being a company town, because as we just established, Billund was here many, many years before the company. But it is safe to say that Billund has grown with the company, and it's also safe to say that Billund without the LEGO group probably would have looked very, very different. So first, I wanted to show you this, because when I was looking into the history of Billund and how Billund has developed, I came across this here showing the population growth of Billund from 1930 up to 2020. What I found was interesting was these two marks here. You can sort of see this is where the curve becomes quite steep. We have the introduction of the town plan LEGO system in play, and of course the passing of the LEGO brick 1958, and then the population of Billund goes like that. Now, just to also make a point, I also double checked with other nearby towns. And it's not like they're not growing in size either. But what we can see with Billund is that the growth is rapid, and also a lot of the nearby towns, the population will stop around here and then not go anywhere, like the town I grew up in, for instance. We stopped around here. So it is remarkable, and it does seem as if the company has affected the growth in Billund quite a lot. Right. Just to put this into a bit of context, what I want to show you now is how the presence of the company has grown throughout time. So what I did was I took a present day map or photo of Billund, and then I added with yellow circles the sort of presence of the company. And I should remember to say that this is what we would refer to as LEGO branded entities. So this is like administration building, production facilities, and of course also later on LEGOLAND, LEGO House, and so on. 1932 is fairly easy, as you can see, right there. We have Ole Kirk's house, and that's it. I mean, it looked like this. He had his workshop behind the house, and then that was the LEGO presence in Billund in 1932. Moving up in time a bit, now we reached the early 1960s. To stay here in Midtown, you can see we still, of course, have Ole Kirk's house. We've added a factory here. This is the one on Systembolaget we call it Predicate House today. This was, in fact, the first sort of LEGO brick factory. There are employee housing out here. And of course, also we added, not Billund Airport, back then it was called Lego Airfield, 1962. So now there are more circles, they're also a bit bigger. And just to put a few photos on this. Here we have System House, Ole Kirk's house, woodworking factory, the first Lego brick factory, if you want to call it that. Employee housing, airport, airfield, and then these very important guys standing in front of System House, which was the headquarters back then. Moving up a time again, this is the late 1980s, and now you can see things have changed a bit again. We still have the same circle in here, where we still have the Idea House complex as well as the factory on the Project House factory. Then here, I know there's a campus inside this circle, but here in the late 80s, there was this huge production facility, a production building going all the way down here called Kluwermarken. Or sorry, that was Højmarksvej. And then of course we've also added Legoland and also noticed that the airport isn't there anymore, and that's not because the airport wasn't there, but because now it's a publicly owned airport. And also we added factories out here. This is Kluwermarken, and here we have the Kornmarken factory. And again, to put a few images on this, this is the Kornmarken factory. It officially opened up in 1988, became Factory of the Year in Denmark at that time, not least because of those very high-tech ATVs driving around. So that was a bit of a new thing. Here we also have the Kluwermarken factory, where we don't have any production today, but still it's Lego owned. This one here is where campus is today. Campus is here. And you can see it's a massive building. Parts of it is still here. This part is still there, owned by Legoland today. But here we have campus. When this was built and opened up in the early 70s, I read the speech that then Lego owner Ole Kirk Kristiansen gave for this occasion. And he said, now we have all the capacity this company will ever need. Yeah. And then, time went on, and then I think we have a bit more now. And then, of course, there's the Legoland Park up here. Then, this is how things are looking today. This circle has become bigger because we have added Innovation House. There's the whole Midtown complex. There is, of course, Lego House, campus. Legoland is still there. This area is the same out on Kluwermarken. This circle is bigger now because we not only have the Kornmarken factory, we've also started building here, as you guys might notice when you are here. This is the new building called Campus. Here looks like a field, but actually we are building there as well. We are building a new building called Innovation Campus, where Maria and all her design colleagues are going out, I think. I think you guys are going to be out there.
In 4 years.
It's going to take a while, but still. And then, of course, down here we have Lego facilities as well. And finally, we have the play line, which is sort of connecting the center of Billund with all of these different activities going on, and supporting the fact that Billund is the capital of children. And to put a few photos on that as well, here, this we know, this is Campus, the new campus being built, Project Innovation House, play line. This is Innovation Campus, and then, of course, this one you know as well. So this is how things are looking today. So I think it's safe to say that the company and the town is very much intertwined. Yeah, that was it for me. That was today's history lesson. And then I will hand you back to you.
You're not going to test them?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. Oh, no. It won't be that evil.
So, just want to give you a little bit background into the development of this set, or at least my part in it, and what the thinking was and what we've selected and so on in the set itself. So actually, for a long time, I've been wanting to do a set like this. I actually, when the postcards and the architectural skylines came out, I thought, wouldn't it be great to celebrate Billund somehow like this? I thought probably not suitable for a global product, but it would be really, really good to have sold in Billund itself. And so it's been on the back burner in my mind for a couple of years, and then I had the opportunity to propose it for this year's, or rather the 2026 launch set. So I actually had already developed a number of different concepts for the 26 launch. So it was really at the last minute that I added this direction as being one of the options, and luckily that was the direction that we chose. But actually the first iteration of this set was a very, very crude model. You'll see it in a second. Just really a simple block model, just to say, is there any potential in this becoming the set? So here you can see actually the set in development. You can see my very organized, tidy desk there, and somehow stuff comes out of that. And then you can see just working on the different kind of components to the set. So basically, what I did was just build up all the sort of buildings and all the experiences that I wanted to include, and then started playing with the arrangement of them and seeing what would make a good sort of composition for this set.
Just a quick interruption to let you know that if you're enjoying this presentation, you can have a deep dive into this set to keep and treasure forever. It's in Blocks Magazine issue 137, available at blocksmag.com from February 27th. Or if you want to get it early, set up a print subscription. Now back to Stuart.
So you can actually see this was the final sketch model that I did, and actually in the background there you can actually see that very, very first crude model. I just literally, whatever bricks I had around, I just threw them together and just say, I think we can make some kind of I Love Billund set, some kind of postcard or skyline of Billund, and then this was kind of the final result of that. And here actually you can see a side-by-side comparison. Here on the left is the sketch model, and then on the right is the new and improved version of my proposal there, where Maria takes the sketch model, and then it's about maturing it and make it a great build and play experience. She'll fix all my illegal build techniques and anything else I've thrown in there to give her a few curveballs, and then we end up with this fantastic set at the end of that. So I'd like to invite Maria up to just tell you a bit about what the maturing process involves. Despite having a fantastic sketch model that didn't need any work or any fixing, did it?
I didn't do any work at all. Stuart was really good this year. I think that I counted 2 illegal builds only. So that's, I think, a new record. And also there was one that was just like very strange. It was unnecessary. I think it was like an upside down.
I know, usually, yeah.
Weird stuff. So, maturing the model. As Stuart said, he handed over a sketch model, and that's where I started my work. One of the things that we wanted to incorporate was having a shared experience, because you come to Billund with friends, with family, and we thought that that's an amazing opportunity to also have that modularity in it. So there are 4 building instructions included as well, so you can build it together with your friends, your family. You start off with a frame with a big crane, because Billund has been under construction for a very long time and is constantly under construction. So you get a little crane to build with. And if you look at LEGOLAND Billund, it's filled with little Easter eggs. We start with the castle and the dragon ride, where in Stuart's sketch I think it was just a frog. So decided to include a little bit more detail into it with the carts and stuff. We have the view tower, we have the parade in front of LEGOLAND Gate, which currently I think is under construction, so the soldiers are sleeping somewhere. I hope they'll be back. We've got, of course, the gate. You get a tiny bit of Copenhagen in the set, because there is Miniland, and we included Nyhavn in there. So if you've been to Copenhagen, maybe you'll recognize the lovely iconic street. Of course, we could not miss the LEGOLAND train, and to pay homage to the rural aspect of Billund, I added a tiny cow to kind of take us back to the dairy time. When you look at campus, the first thing that you'll probably see is the big minifigure, and that's something that we really wanted to include. And for the first time, the baby minifigure has pants. So we got to decorate the baby minifigure to represent that big minifigure in front of campus. But there is lots and lots of more stuff that you find in the set. So if you walk around campus, you'll also see lots of ducks. They're the classic duck that you can rebuild in many, many ways. And that's also something that you can do in the set. You can plop your imaginary duck however you want to build it. We've got the funky lamps and, of course, our first Lego plane flying just above campus. In the back, we have factories. So we, back in the days, back in what, 2020?
22.
2022.
Magic year.
Magic year. We had the inside tour that had the AGV, and Stuart also built a baby AGV. So we decided to add a baby AGV inside of the factories, as well as the classic Lego truck, the delivery truck that you can see. Also, we've built in many different ways, and also it's driving around Billund delivering boxes. So we had to include that one as well. This is where we talk about scale.
Do we have to?
Because the sketch that I received had various scales for each building. It was a little bit different. As you can see here, we have a Lego house, and then I know that Ole Kirk has been a great man to you, but he's also a massive man with a massive house in the sketch, as well as the Sky Tower has been like very, very large. So this was something that we thought about while developing this the model further. How can we make the right scale in everything? Because if it was the correct scale in comparison to Lego house, probably Ole Kirk's house would be a 2x4. But we wanted to add the detail. We wanted to be more recognizable. Maybe we'll have something inside. So there were a couple of iterations to kind of find the right scale that wouldn't feel too massive, but still include some extra Easter eggs inside. Another aspect of the house that we talked about was the color, because there has been an inside tour set of Ole Kirk's house before, and it's all red, which is also very iconic, and fans know about the red Ole Kirk's house, but if you walk around Billund, it's not really red. And the reason was simply because the bricks weren't available in that color at that time. But since this is what you see on the street, we decided to kind of keep it that way, to change the color scheme a little bit. Next up is the campus, which in the sketch was very, very squished. But that was okay because we also had this postcard versus skyline, and it was quite a discussion. How big should campus be? Should it be the entirety of campus, or how do we kind of, because it was hidden kind of in the back before, so we had to elevate it a little bit. So at some point campus was on a big hill, and as we know, Denmark is quite flat, so we wanted to kind of keep it in a different way. And since you can't really get a set of campus apart from the employee gift, we wanted to gift you a micro scale of campus that you can take home. And it's a sub-build as well, so if you want to display it as that, that's also possible. And because we got the houses and campus entirely, we could also put things inside. So if you take the tops off, you have the round staircase inside of campus that you can probably see, like through the door or through the windows. And inside of System House, we can see a yellow shoed designer talking to another designer about a red car. Who could that be? That's up to you to decide. And then the smallest, largest duck in Ole Kirk's house. It's not that scale. If you go to Ole Kirk's house, you're not going to find such a massive duck. But we wanted to add that little detail there. finally we have the Lego house, which has its own separate module. And of course, you have to have the interior, so we got all the zones represented. We've got a little car for the blue zone, we've got the green zone, yellow zone with a little flower, and of course the waterfall in the red zone. And of course, the first thing that you see when you go into Lego House is the tree of creativity, and you can't miss the molding machine. So we have to include that as well. And since we started Lego Masters Academy, you get to also take home a tiny trophy with you. And once you plop everything into the frame, you'll find orange line that represents the play line. And if you haven't gone through the walk, maybe you can go back to Signe's slide and see how to find everything around Billund. So the ultimate thing is that you can also go and plop yourself into Billund.
So if you've been up to the minifigure factory and designed yourself as a fig, then we've made a few spots where you can add your minifig to the model.
So you'll always be in Billund wherever you are. And of course we have some exclusive tiles. So we have the Billund sign. You can also see that there's a tiny Lego house and the city limit sign. We got the Lego house tile and LEGOLAND. No stickers. And that's it. That's your I Love Billund set.
Whoa!
Available only in Billund.
I think it's probably now time to take some questions, if there are any questions that anybody has about the set or the masterpiece gallery or anything else. Any questions? Go on then.
So Maria, when you were working on the set, you kind of touched on this a little bit, but could you speak a little bit more about how you kind of balance the scale with the composition of it? Because obviously everything looks really nice and harmonious and kind of you've got everything in like a pleasing way to look at. But as you touched on before, the scales are different in order to make sure that you can fit.
I'll go and get
there.
my prototype so you can
Yes.
see how bad the idea
Yeah.
is.
I think that this was also because there's so much actually happening in Billund, right? That we wanted to first of all find the best spots and the best locations to represent, and then also we had to fit everything on a good size that is not too long, not too small, not too wide, that you can actually pick up.
Not too illegal.
Not too illegal, and kind of also supports that modularity in it. You want to have fun building techniques, of course. So if everything was just stacking one by ones, you wouldn't have that much fun with it. So there is also, I think, I had that in the back of my head, just to find different elements that could be fun and different to use. And I think that it was a lot of kind of trying different things and both building physically and digitally, making screenshots, going around and asking colleagues, does this look right? Does this look weird? Is this too much? Is this too crowded? And so it's just lots of iterations that go into this, and eventually you find a good scale that works.
I suppose it's easy to find people who can comment on it if everyone
There are
lives
a
and
lot of
works
people
there.
that have their own opinions. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So you spoke briefly about there being other kind of alternative considerations for the exclusive set, and this one is very, very Billund. We're wondering, how do you go about the process of choosing something which is going to, of course, appeal to a lot of LEGO fans, while at the same time not being so niche or specific that well, I guess the challenge more is like, how do you choose something that is going to be fun for people who can come here, but not so exasperating for anybody outside of Billund to
Yeah.
not be able to get hold of.
I mean, this set really came about from us actually talking to our guests and consumers about what would they like to see, what is it that they value when they're coming to the store in Lego House, and really for a lot of visitors, it was about having something that would be a memento, a reflection, a reminder of their visit. You know, the typical kind of family visitor that we would get into in Lego House, and many of these visitors are from overseas. So having that kind of little slice of Denmark, that little slice of Billund would be something very appealing to them. So that's kind of the decision that we put in, or that made us go down this direction, because it's about also appealing to the fans, but it's also appealing to maybe a family with kind of less affinity with our Lego heritage and history and all those kind of things, and the super niche kind of things. But it's still, but Billund is the hometown of the brick. It means a lot to Lego fans, I think, around the world. So being able to encapsulate the Billund in one set was the ambition that we had.
Did you feel like you have kind of learned lessons or moved on from something like, say, the Pirate, which ended up being so popular around the world, and now you're kind of more focusing on making something which is unique to the local experience?
Well, I think that's always going to be the balancing act between having something which has an appeal on one level for maybe the sort of the hardcore fan, and then having and something that would appeal to the typical sort of family guests that would come to Lego House and can appreciate it on a different level. But of course, once you get the set home, and if you're reading all the marketing pages you put in there, and you give you all the history and stuff like that, then we can sort of help people dive into the Lego history with through that set.
I was going to ask about, did you consider using like perspective for some of the buildings? Because we've seen on some skylines like San Francisco, there's a really cool perspective effect.
Yeah.
So I wondered if you kind of considered that and intentionally put that into any of the techniques.
I think that was probably in some of the iterations, because we had a couple of versions that were more postcard with backgrounds, and I think that there was a wider version as well, that there was, again, with the scale. So with this one, I think because you have the modularity, you wanted less of a perspective and more individual little sub-builds they can build, and you can display separately or together. So that I think that was at the end the focus of that. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
The question?
Oh, it's not a question, it's more like a comment. I just want to say, like, I think what I really appreciate about the Lego House sets is that you tie in like history of the company, so it's so unique versus sets that you would get from like Lego proper, say. These ones have like such a unique historical aspect to it, so it's really special just having like sets like Fabuland, the Pirate, the Duck. Like, even if you're not a lifelong fan, like I'm pretty new, it's really interesting to hear all of the history, especially tying in like the vault aspect of Lego House to it. So I want to say it's a beautiful job, and that was one of the sets Matt and I were like, and we really hope that they come out with like a architectural style like police car. So very good.
We're both
Thank you.
internally freaking out right
Yeah,
now.
I was like, I want to
Really keeping it together.
Keep an
This
eye
is
on,
incredible.
keep an eye on that.
You can do the external freak out as well. If you yeah.
Thank you.
I think this is the fourth or fifth version of Lego House that's been done on a product. I was wondering, did you look at some of those other ones, or did you just do this one new? And what may be different compared to the other Lego House versions?
It's built differently. So I did look at the one from the architecture set and the tribute, which is the teeny tiny one, and this is somewhere in between, or not really in between. It's a little bit bigger than the tribute, and you have the roof that's opening, that's and all the interior stuff is also unique to it, but of course, like, it's the same building, right? So there are similarities to the previous sets as well.
I mean, I think it also came down to the
Thank you.
scale and the footprint that we had to work to as well. That we were trying to keep these onto these 16 by 16s and then working the scale from that perspective. We didn't have them overlapping any other modules and stuff like that. So that was a sort of a criteria that we had these three main modules. I mean, the set through development has shrunk and grown over time. But ended up where we are now.
Does it make it any easier or harder to design the buildings where the real building is sort of designed to look like Lego pieces? In the case of the Lego house on the campus? I could imagine it forces you into a certain scale, if you want to have the studs on there, for example.
Yeah. But that's also what makes it interesting, right? Like, I think that if the challenge is the best part. So maybe it is challenging, but it's doable, and it's fun to find these different techniques, how to actually incorporate those pieces in the right way.
I think it's also starting with what is the most iconic or defining part of that building. So yes, with the Lego house, I started with the masterpiece gallery, or the keystone on the top, 2x4 on the top, and then it just cascades there. It's like how small can I get this and still be sort of get enough detail in there and go from there. So I think you pick different aspects as to where you want to start.
Yeah, it's again with scale, like you sometimes find a really fun element that fits really right, and then you kind of build on top, or you find the right scale that fits, and then you find the bricks that fit the best. So there's no right and wrong. That's the beauty of Lego bricks, that there's so much possibility.
I got one. Was there any consideration of adding making a top piece for the baby with a blue hat?
I wish. The head doesn't have an inlet.
Okay, right.
So that would be the tricky part. We don't really create new elements for this set in particular. We have new decorations, and we can do some new colors of existing elements.
And the pants on the baby, you said that was the first time to print.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So that's a little exclusive thing for this one.
Nice.
But we don't really create new elements per se for these sets.
Cool.
Did the build together aspect come later, or was that an initial idea?
That was one of the first things that we talked about, I think.
And when I first designed it, I used the art plates, which apparently were too expensive to include in the set, so she deleted those straight away, but so it was designed on 16 by 16s to start with.
And then was there any consideration to build it within the historical timeline, or starting with whatever, the house, and then was there consideration to do it in order?
There was kind of, when I was thinking about it, I built everything individually first, and then I tried out different compositions, and I thought it was more important to actually make a composition that worked rather than doing some kind of linear historical timeline, because it may not be necessarily as aesthetically pleasing if we'd done that. So I thought it sort of worked better as a...
In the build, because we have build-throughs with people that develop the building instruction, and we have multiple sessions where we kind of find make sure that everything's built correctly and it's going to be a good experience. And I think that during one of those, I actually started with the little cow and the rural area, and I was like, can we start with this, and it's going to be kind of like a story of Billund. I'm not going to tell you how you start the experience, but maybe you start with a cow. That's up to the building experience person.
Doors over there.
I'll see myself up.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Is there a classic 2x4 included in this brick, in the set?
I can't confirm or deny, but
I mean, it's represented on the roof of Lego House.
Yeah.
So there is the representation
there. I'm sure that there was one at some point, because I thought about it, and then you work on these sets for such a long time, and you kind of iterate small things so many times that at some point you lose track. but I'm pretty sure that maybe.
Can't remember, but it's,
There's definitely one in my heart that is in the set. So
it's all about the variety of bricks. I mean, the assortment now is thousands and thousands of elements. So I mean, there's as many different ones in there as possible.
you'll have to build it to find out.
What was the research process like? Like, did you just like, okay, I'm gonna go wander around Legoland all day and stare at everything, take it in, like?
I did do a lot of walks, as you could see.
Yeah.
Because everything's kind of like, Billund is kind of small. So
Yeah.
it is possible to go and look at the area and take pictures of buildings,
Yeah.
and you don't have to kind of fly out
Mhm.
or take a very long drive. I think that the airport is the furthest away, but it's also not far. So I've actually been to all the areas and kind of stared at it,
Yeah.
sat, contemplated, tried to find the
Mhm.
the vibe.
You like to see the bricks as you're like looking
Yeah.
at it. Yeah.
But of course it's confidential stuff, so I couldn't take the set and kind of like,
Yeah. So
Compare
did
it.
you ever have a day where you were building, you're like, wait, I have to just run out real quick and look at Ole Kirk's house, okay, and then run back into the office? Or like,
I didn't have that kind of day. No.
good, because that would be me. Like, that would be my process.
Let me check. I think that's why cameras are also for, to kind of make the documentation, not have to run out to make
Very
sure
true.
that it's correct or not.
Google is your friend.
Yeah. Yeah, but we had a lot of chats about like also Easter eggs and what to include, and how can we kind of incorporate things like the dairy aspect to plop in that cow. Yeah, there were, I think that, yeah, lots of research, lots of contemplation, trying to find the vibe of Billund and kind of inhale the atmosphere.
But also the selection was based on kind of what buildings people will notice and also buildings that you can
Actually visit.
and visit. Experience. Like if you're on a fan tour, you might get to go to the factory, you'll get to go maybe to the campus and so on. So the different tours will give access to what we've represented in here. So that's why we didn't do some of the buildings which maybe are a bit more obscure. We wanted to keep to the sort of the classic ones, and also many of the guests who come to Lego House will also go to LEGOLAND Billund. So that's why we want to include the two kind of experiences there in this set, just adding all the other things that are important for the LEGO group's history in there.
Can you talk about the iteration of the badges that you're wearing and how each set has had kind of a badge? Is this a preview for what is to come, and how did the badge come about?
It started with the duck, yeah, I remember I thought, oh, it'd be a nice way to celebrate the launch of the duck set back then. But then I made them and I was wearing it, and then a couple of play agents said, oh, can I get one of those? And can I get? So I started making more and more and more. I ended up making around 200, and the leadership team said, don't do that again. So now I've only when I do the badges, and I try to do a badge every time we do some kind of significant launch. Especially with a new exclusive set, so I just do them for the store staff and us that are going to be launching and talking about and releasing the set. So they're more limited edition now. But, I'm sure this one's going to be fairly easy to copy. So,
I'm interested how you choose the level of complexity for a set like this, because obviously this is lots of little tiny pieces that it's designed to be played with a family. And you've decided on 10 plus here. Was there any kind of discussion internally about what kind of level this should be at and how simple or complicated things should be for that reason?
it's always been 10 plus. All the sets have been to, so that is part of the criteria that we use when we're designing this set. That it's always going to be a 10 plus set. I don't know if that will ever change, but that's been throughout the process. We've always aimed at that. Which, I mean, Maria could probably explain more, but that determines how the level of complexity that you can put into that set. So we do allow ourselves a little bit of complexity by having that slightly older age group.
Yeah, but there's also no reason to overcomplicate things if it's you don't have to build things upside down too much. There are a couple of upside down things, but it's an exciting exciting upside down.
You mentioned that you don't create any new parts for these sets. Are there any other like limitations on like a palette of parts that you can use for these, or you kind of just use it like a normal set in that way?
And Stuart has everything that he wants.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Blue
and
things,
then you have to fight for it.
and
Yes.
then I have to figure out a way how to incorporate all the right colors, and because we do have limitations on how many color changes we make, or if we want new decorations. I think that we had a lot of discussions about having stickers or decorations, and I prefer decorations myself.
Yeah.
So we had it's always kind of an either or if you want.
Yeah, because you have
more
a fixed budget of what you can
Yeah,
change.
we have a
Yeah.
fixed
Gotta work
budget that
within
we
that.
can't do. We can't just go and color change every element for this. So we have a budget, and then we work with that, and
And then
we have to decide.
And then we
What
basically
works
made a priority
best.
list of what we wanted. So
And then sometimes you have to kind of change the build entirely
I
because
mean, we didn't even
that
know if
one
we,
brick doesn't exist in that
I mean,
color.
we didn't know if we were going to be able to have the printed baby campus.
Yeah.
But luckily,
That was a battle.
Worth it.
Question about Masterpiece Gallery. It's been a few years now. What are some of the challenges that you've mastered now, and what are some of the ones that still remain in terms of the Masterpiece Gallery?
well, I guess there's practical ones in terms of we have a fixed display space, and so some of the pieces can be pretty massive. So that there's probably some pieces we've missed out on because we just physically couldn't display them in that space. So I think that's been one of the challenges. But there aren't many, to be honest, because it is actually quite a sort of well-oiled machine now in terms of bringing the fans in, the whole logistics behind it, the whole changeover day and everything else, and the guys we use. I think sort of one of the challenges is we want to pre-design the way that we're going to display them, but of course it's very difficult when you're working with photographs and maybe have some dimensions and stuff. So you are making best guesses when it comes to the arrangement in the space. So sometimes it can be a bit of a surprise or a bit of a challenge on the day when you get into the space and trying to fit everything in there. And then I guess the perennial challenge is how well the mocks travel. It can be very surprising. Like Stephen Howard last year, he had the most incredibly detailed and perfectly made travel cases, but his were the most destroyed mocks when we opened the box. So it's a bit of a hit and miss as to how well they're going to survive the journey. But that's something that's very difficult to overcome. But I think it's getting better and better and more efficient every time. And it just seems like the quality just constantly is amazing. We see in the fan events and stuff, and the Masterpiece Gallery has actually become quite a recruiting ground for exhibitors to go on and become Lego designers in PMD, which is nice to see. So we need to get a cut, a little the salary kind of thing. Yeah, we get a first month's cut. So yeah, but that's really nice to see. Good.
I have a random one. Sorry, I keep talking. Is there, when you are designing these sets, is there any type of goal to include like technic pieces, a little bit of everything in it? Just because I noticed you use technic pieces for the crane. Like, is that just because it looks like a crane, or do you try to include a little bit of everything?
I mean, from my side, there wasn't a criteria that I need to include this, and this. It's all going to be down to how's it going to look on the box.
Right.
I mean, that's your starting point. How appealing is this set going to
It'd
be?
be really difficult to include a Duplo brick in there.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
But it is about how the final thing is going to look, and of course, if we can put in some interesting elements, then Maria will do her best to put in some nice part usage in there. Okay. Are we done then? All right. Thank you very much.